Hey guys, it's Addison. So I'm making this on my little mini camera instead of on my laptop today, and it kind of blows, so I'm going to try and keep it short so I'll be able to actually put it on my computer today. The question this week is about what we read when we were little and how that's changed over time. Now, when I was really little, I read a lot of like fantasy novels, but it wasn't my main thing. I read a lot of like the Christie books, which were about this girl who becomes a missionary and teaches and is part of the church in like the Appalachian Mountains. And I read those for a while because I wanted to be a missionary, but I eventually realized that I don't like dirt, so I can't go to places where the only floors that they have are dirt. I'm queer, so they would string me up, and I don't want to be involved in that. And I'm not a huge believer in God. I mean, I'm agnostic technically. I believe in a higher power, but I don't really follow any specific rules in order to appease said higher power. So I eventually stopped reading them. Apparently they made movies out of them, and I find that so interesting because the books were kind of boring. I mean, they were interesting, they always had my attention, but like, they were, you know, more like a TV show than a movie. So, I don't know. Pretty random tidbit. After that, though, I read a lot of coming-of-age books about girls, and I kind of had this conception, because I never really felt like a girl, so I was reading these books to figure it out, and, you know, to relate my own story to theirs, to figure out that I was normal. Well, I wasn't normal, but I didn't figure that out till later. So I read a lot of coming-of-age books. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret was one that my grandmother got me. A Girl Named Disaster is about an African girl that goes on this big, huge, crazy adventure. Kind of scary, actually. I don't know why it was recommended for my age group. It gave me nightmares. But I had this magical conception of my period. Like, I thought my period was supposed to come, and, like, kind of like when Fiona gets kissed by Shrek. She does the magical spinny thing, and then she comes back down, she's still an ogre. That's what happened, pretty much, to me. I was this not girl thing, and my period came, and I did the magic spinny thing, and I thought it was supposed to transform me and make me a woman, and I was going to be able to understand women, I was going to be able to, you know, talk with them on a regular basis and be able to relate. You know, I was going to care about my body, I was going to like my body, I was going to be able to shower more regularly because I hated showering because I hated my body. All this stuff was supposed to change and get better with the coming of my period because it's supposed to be magical. It's the time when I become a woman. Well, I did the magical spinny thing and I came back down and I was still an ogre. And needless to say, it was really disappointing. So that kind of ended my love of that genre for a long, long time. It hasn't really come back yet. So, and that's part of the reason I was asking this question, was because that's what happened to me, and I wanted to see if anyone else had a similar experience to it. I was always a bit of a bookworm, though, so I suspect that not everyone else did. But books really helped me figure out how weird I was, but also allowed me to feel normal on a lot of different levels. Because it would just let me escape for a little while, and I wouldn't have to bother with feeling weird for that, you know, 6 hours that I sat on the couch reading a book. After that, after my love of coming-of-age fiction, I started reading what I call my dad literature, which was all the stuff that my dad used to leave in the bathroom, which was composed mostly of Stephen King and good fantasy novels. And this is where I read Lord of the Rings. And I was starting to read Harry Potter at this point too, probably. So my love of fantasy was definitely sculpted this way. And that's pretty much what I read now. I do try and get my hands on classic fiction when I can, you know, Great Gatsby, 1984, Fahrenheit 451, the kind of things that we're supposed to read in high school, but we just simply don't have time. And I'm trying to catch up on those because I'm an English major, and they will help me in terms of relating works to other works, but that's just completely practical. If I want to read for fun, I read fantasy or a very well-written romance novel. Do not hate me on this one. And this is why. I am not into throbbing members. Well, I mean I am, but not my books. Not into the throbbing member thing. And so I have taken a fair amount of time trying to find decent romance novels, and most of them are fantasy-based. Simply because it makes them easier to read. I don't like reading about, you know, like Jane Austen kind of romance novels. No thank you. Not a fan. I have to read Jane Austen for literature courses, and it blows. The head of the department here is a Jane Austen scholar, so it happens. But so that's mostly my answer to the question. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about for a little bit is the other reason I asked this question was Where the Wild Things Are came out on, you know, movie, and I never, like, I read it as a kid, but it was never really like a favorite. I wasn't in the picture book phase for very long, so I didn't really have time to cling to it like I think a lot of other people did, but I could just be wrong on that. But Where the Wild Things Are has really helped me post-puberty, and especially the movie now, has really kind of, like, I realized that the book helped me, but I didn't understand how the book helped me. Like, I knew that I liked it a whole lot, but I didn't really know why. The movie really helped me figure it out, and the reason I like Where the Wild Things Are so much is that it describes to me why I used to have, and still do have, a fair amount of anger management problems. In that, the easiest way to put it is, anger is a boy's sadness, and that's something that I've really had to contend with for a long time, not post-puberty, but like during the puberty years. I was really angry, and I didn't know why at the time, but I was mourning the loss of my body, on a couple of different levels, but I was mourning the loss of my body, and that came out in the form of very violent, very passionate, very verbal rage. During middle school, I almost broke a kid's wrist. I was getting a lot of abuse myself at this time, but I was also transferring it outside of my body. I was very verbally abusive to my classmates, to my peers, and I didn't understand why. And once the movie came out and I saw it, everything just like clicked, and I was just like, oh yeah, I know that feeling. Like, I know why this happened. That movie was just completely amazing. If you didn't see it, you should totally go see it, because it was just fantastic, and the soundtrack is great. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my reading bits. But I've been really happy watching everyone else's videos on this topic, and kind of seeing everyone else's own literative transition. But yeah, so this is kind of long, so I'm gonna cut it off, and I guess I will talk to you kids later.